Good morning, I'm Dr. Tammy. I'm a board certified medical doctor, but that means absolutely nothing to you. What matters is that you want to feel better, have more energy, feel attractive, feel sexy when you go to bed at night with your husband, have more energy to play with your kids, get around. I had a lady tell me one time that her goal was that she would live to see her grandchildren, who actually lived with her, to graduate high school. And when you're sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, it's a game changer when you can get that life back. And over the years, and I'll just tell you, I've been a medical doctor for over 20 years, but the biggest thing that I've been able to do is not to sew people up who've injured themselves, or worked the ER, or worked the vent in the ICU, or take care of people when they're acutely ill, but when they have chronic things that the medical system just doesn't help them with. And I'm that person, and I've stepped into what's called functional medicine, so I'm really able to help people see the root cause of things. And over the years, I saw people really struggle, but I struggle too. And I'll just tell you a little bit about my story. When I was young, I had so many female problems, and I always say God does things for us and not to us, because it helps me be in a unique place to tell you these things, to tell you that I understand and I've been there, and to tell you that there was a reason why I got outside the medical box to do what I do. And that medical box is driven by insurance companies and pharmaceutical companies and the food industry. They want to keep you sicker because it's big, big, big business. And so when I think about how we can help people who've struggled the most, that really powers me. It helps me feel like what I do every day, like getting out of bed every morning, is worth it. And when patients come to me, mostly they see me on my TV show, and they are primed and ready for change. And I love that, because that's the state where you can make the most change. There is a model of change that I think is absolutely amazing. And that is, you start from a place where you don't even really realize that you have a problem. You have a problem, but you don't really realize what's impacting your life and why you just wake up and don't feel so good anymore. And then you move into this stage where you're like, I've got to do something about this. And you identify the problem, and you're like, I'm overweight, I don't like the way I look, I'm declining invitations, my kids are frustrated because I just want to sit in the car and scroll my phone while they're out there at the game because it's just too hot, and my heat tolerance is just not good because I'm overweight and I don't feel good. And you're missing out on life. You're missing out on those little precious moments. You're missing out on the play with your children. You're missing out on the value of life. And you look up one day and you're like, okay, I've gained a few pounds. My dryer's shrinking my clothes a little bit. And you make all these excuses. You say, I don't have time to take care of myself. I don't have time to work out. I don't have time. I'm busy, I'm taking care of the kids, I have so much responsibility, and I get it. I'm a woman, I am a business person, a doctor, a mom, a caretaker, and on every level, we have so many hats that we have to wear that I get it. It's easy to make excuses and say that you don't have the time. And I remember when I first started really focusing on myself, my son was like 5 years old, and I literally spent my life in school and busy and, literally in our physiology lab, we were working on cadavers. I would look out the window And it would be a bright spring day, and I think, how nice it is outside. I love to get outside, but I have so much to do. And then I would look out the window again, and it would be winter. I was like, where did that time go? Oh my gosh, this is crazy. And the whole time I didn't feel good, and I wasn't my best performance. And being in residency, they would wear us out, and I would just be so tired that I hadn't slept sometimes in days, and I just felt like crap. And I really didn't take time for self-care. And I get it, life gets busy, and you don't really take the time for self-care. You might have the time if you look at hours in the day where you're spent maybe scrolling your phone, or maybe you're watching Netflix, binge watching Netflix. I don't know where that time is, but you make the time for things that you value. One of the other blessings that were done for me and not to me was that I had autoimmune disease. And I don't know if you've ever heard of something called leaky gut, but as I've studied this over the years, it had a huge impact on what was going on in my life. And leaky gut kind of sounds weird, and you think, oh my God, like you think it's like diarrhea or something. No, it's the permeability. That means it's the absorptive process of your gut to absorb its nutrients. And if you don't get your nutrients down to the level of the DNA, you can't power your metabolism. And when that happens, everything starts to shut down. And you'll look up one day and you're thinking you're in your 30s, and you try to eat a little less and exercise a little more, and it doesn't work anymore. And that's because our DNA, there's a cellular process that happens. It's called apoptosis. And that's just a fancy way of saying that your cells literally are dying, and that more cells in your body are dying than rejuvenating. And so as this process happens, we call it the aging process. And part of that metabolic aging process is weight gain, because where you store your fat says everything about where the problem is. So if you store your fat in the belly, you have cortisol imbalances. If you store it in your hips, you have estrogen imbalances. And yes, men and women both have estrogen. If you store it all over, you probably have a complete metabolic shutdown of the thyroid. And so as you look at these processes start to break down, you can look in the nursing home, and everything you see in the nursing home is that metabolic apoptosis. The cells are dying. And why are they dying? Why are they dying at the rate they do? I mean, we're all going to age, but why are your cells dying at a higher rate? Why is your metabolic age older than people around you? Well, genetics have a lot to do with it, but there's something called epigenetics. And epigenetics are very, very powerful, because we know that if you talk about nature, genetics versus nurture, epigenetics, we know that your environment has everything to do with your aging process. And so if you want to age gracefully, you're going to have to make some changes. And I'll tell you right off, if you look at the industry, the diet pill industry, the diet supplement industry, they want you to think that you can just take a pill and that will solve all of your problems. Or, they have all these gimmicky, as seen on Dr. Oz, and then they have as seen on Shark Tank. And they're all fake. They're all photoshopped videos. And, that's just not authentic. You have to make changes. And when I decided that I was going to be healthier, I made a plan. And, my son was little. He was like 4 or 5 at the time. And he was like, mommy. And I felt so guilty. And I would tell him, like, baby, this is for you too. This is important so that I can take care of you. And when I really stepped into that, he stepped into it too. And he started I was doing dance videos at the time, and he started wanting to play with me. And so when he'd crawl on my legs, I'd do leg lifts with him. And it was just so fun at that point. And I remember we had a Wii, and I would just do Just Dance. And, it was very powerful. And in fact, my endurance built to the point that when, he would have friends over, or the little cousins would come over, we would do the We Just Dance for fun. And my endurance at 40 years old was higher than theirs. They would do a song or two, and they would just, poop out. They couldn't do it. And they would just watch me. And then I'd go ahead and do 2 or 3 more songs, because I'm like, hey, I'll just get a workout while I'm doing this. And, that was just, it blew me away. And you'll see people, there was a lady named Ernestine Shepherd, and she didn't start working out till she was even in her 70s, and she started the bodybuilding process. And her story was that she and her sister decided to get healthy together, and that, that they could compete, as sisters sometimes do, in bodybuilding physique. And the sister actually passed away before she got to reap the benefits of the choice to get healthier. So Ernestine just kept going, and she was able to change her life. And so she, is a model for so many women that it's never too late. And when you look at getting healthy, it's not that hard. And I can teach you ways to do that. I spend less than probably 20 minutes a week doing what I call HIIT training, and I'll teach you how to do that. But HIIT training is just high intervals where you just do spurts of high intensity exercise, and you'll have to build up to it. You won't start real high intensity in the beginning, but I'll teach you a way to do it in less than 10 minutes a day, 3 times a week. And so when you do that, well, maybe 30 minutes, but when you do that, it's a game changer, and it works with your hormones, which I'm known as the hormone queen. So I talk about that a lot when I work with patients and try to, help them regain their vitality. But it works with your hormones like insulin and thyroid, the fat burning and fat storing hormones. When you maximize those, it's a game changer. And so, I also do strength training because I like muscle tone, and that takes a little bit longer, just to be, transparent about that. But exercise doesn't have to be hard, and it doesn't have to take long. In fact, it can just be something fun, like dancing. Turn on the radio. It doesn't have to cost a bunch. You can do it in your underwear. But those bursts are the important key, and that's the secret that you might not know. Also, intermittent eating is what I call it, because when you say intermittent fasting, that's a little bit, just turns you off, right? But intermittent eating is when you eat during a certain window, and that's usually like between lunch and dinner. And so that's not that hard, because you're sleeping part of the day, but then, you just eat during that certain window. And then also something called carb confusion, which I'll teach you all this, but carb confusion is where you have a higher carb load during certain days of the week, and those are the 3 days when you do your HIIT training, your high intensity training, your burst. And then the other days you have lower carbs, because you need those carbs when you're burning, because insulin, the fat storing hormone, will work more effectively when you're doing those bursts of eating carbs those days, and that's what we call the carb confusion. So that's really powerful. And then also something that I've learned from bodybuilders, which I worked with bodybuilders over the years, because I have the science part of it, I have the testing and the hormones and the peptides and all those things, so they teach me as well. So I've learned what they called cycling. I'll teach you that too. So it's really super basic principles, but they can change your life, and they don't have to take a lot of time. And you can really shed that excuse-itis. People find a way to do the things they want to do. That's how you get around excuses. Everyone has the same amount of hours in the day. So what happened was, a few years ago, I never wanted to be known as the weight loss doctor. I always said weight loss was a side effect of metabolic balance. But I had a friend ask me, can't you just make a pill? And I'm like, you know what, Kristen, you can't just make a pill. It doesn't work like that. So she said, but can't you help, with just a supplement or something that'll help balance those hormones, give us some energy while we're making those changes? And I was like, yeah, why can't I do that? And so I started looking at manufacturing companies, and I wanted only the best quality, and it was really hard. I'd never run a supplement company. I'd never done my own formulations before, although I am a compound physician. I do compounded hormones for people and use compounding pharmacies, which means they mix the hormones according to what your body needs in your lab testing. But I was like, why can't I do that with a supplement? And I know the supplements, after I've worked with people for years, I know the supplements that work for people. And so why not just combine them all? It's kind of like I buy all these different face serums. I buy the, alpha hydroxy acids and their retin-A's. And so I use like 5 different face creams, and I can't tell you the number of times I've thought, you know what, I've either just got to find one that has all that stuff in it, or I need to make my own. So I haven't done that yet, but my priority has been helping people with their metabolism and helping them regain their life back and have their power back, so that when they put on that cute little nightgown or nothing at all and they crawl into bed, they actually feel like they're, attractive again, like you did before all that started. Gravity started affecting everything, and your genetics and age and the hormone decline, you start to feel like that again. And wow, how that can change your life, because having intimacy with your partner is amazing, and it really can change the dynamic in your home. And being able to interact with your children more, and curl your baby's hair, do braids, or just the simple things, just cooking in the kitchen and teaching them healthy habits, how to cook healthy stuff in the kitchen. So I embarked on that journey, and that was about 3 or 4 years ago. And in that journey, I found that people who want something, they find a way, and people who don't, they find an excuse. And so I was like, hey, I went to med school, I worked hard, I learned a lot of stuff, I can do this too. And so I formulated the perfect supplement to help with a hormone called insulin and insulin resistance. And they say that like 1/3 of the United States is insulin resistant, and that's really scary. That can lead to diabetes and all the complications of diabetes. So when I formulated that, I put all sorts of things. I call it everything but the kitchen sink. I put in white kidney bean extract, which is, not to get too nerdy, but it's basically a supplement that helps stop the breakdown of carbohydrates into simple sugars so they can't be stored as fat. So I was like, what else can I put in there? And it was like berberine and, just a ton of different ketones, raspberry ketones, and all the things that can help with sugar metabolism, chromium, B12. And so when I was done, I had this perfect blend. And so I started trying it on my friends and family and testing it out. And it was working. And Kristen, the girl I created it for, lost like 15 pounds right away. And she really, reports that she wasn't changing that much, which is awesome. And so she did start making changes, and she did have the energy to start working out, and she did feel better. And, that was kind of the turning point for me, was that, the good Lord gave me this, this thing that was such a blessing. And this is kind of crazy, but when I was looking for the name of this, what it would be, carb melt popped in my head, because it melts the resistance to the way you process carbs. And I was like, surely that's not available, on Google, on GoDaddy, carbmelt.com. And I'm like, I had this thought, if it is, this is meant to be. And it was like the 99-cent, carbmelt.com, not the $3,000 one, or that's taken, or, it was like, oh my gosh, this is meant to be. So I got the domain, and the supplement was born. I went to several different manufacturers, and I had to find just the right quality. So, they had to have all the certifications, all the, GMO-free and gluten-free and vegan, and, it just had to be perfect. So when I found the company that I found, I was thrilled. And, so anyway, I started trying on friends and family, and it was working. And then people started feeling the motivation, and they didn't have the sugar crashes anymore because it was working with their insulin. They weren't hungry. They had, more energy and just felt more vibrant. And then they could make the lifestyle changes when they weren't craving sugar all the time. then they got where they wanted to eat healthier and make healthier choices. And so as I went through, I started writing all this down and putting it in a program so that people could see this information and that they could understand this information in a really easy, digestible form. But the key is you got to start feeling better first. And in my practice, I always tell people when they come in, we're going to start working with your hormones. We're going to start working with your metabolism. Baby steps, right? It doesn't have to be hard, and it doesn't have to be everything all right now. So the baby steps are really important, that you don't overwhelm yourself. You want those little wins. And I always say it's a marathon, not a sprint. You're in this for the long haul, right? So you really got to embrace that mentality. And so then I started experiencing patients over the years with adrenal fatigue, and I do certain supplements excuse me, like licorice and all sorts of things that were helping with their adrenal fatigue and get their cortisol and their adrenals back on track. And so what we found was they started getting flatter bellies too, and that's when belly melt was born. So the perfect blend of those two work really well if you have multiple metabolic hormone imbalances. So I want you feeling better. I want you to know those basic principles of intermittent eating, carb confusion, carb cycling, food refeeds. When you confuse your metabolism doesn't work against you. And so when you know those secrets and you know how your nerdy science in your body works, some people know more about the way their car works from their user's manual than they know about their body. So my plan is the user's manual that will help you balance those metabolic hormones that will help you with fat burning or fat storing. And so really, it's not about weight. It's not about the way you look. Those are important things and can prevent disease, and feeling good on the outside as much as you feel on the inside is very, very important. But at the end of the day, it's about your health, and that's what I want to promote with people. And as a doctor, that is, my Hippocratic oath was do no harm. And if I can help, and I can help people feel better without polypharmacy or just sticking them on drugs and making them sicker, then that is so, so important to me. And that's what feeds my soul. So if this sounds like, something that will help you, it's not for everybody, but if you feel like this is resonating with you and making sense, you don't have to come see me in my office. You can embrace this. I have the information all there available for you, and it's available for my patients, and it's available for you. It's not a replacement for your doctor or medical care, but you have everything in your body. I always say I can't heal anybody, but I can help you understand and empower yourself to use your own body's physiology, your own body's immune system to heal itself and feel better. You have that power. No doctor, no pharmaceutical company, no hospital has that power. And I get it. Acute care, if you break your leg or you get an infection, and I'm here at my office now, so I just recorded this on the way. But if you need the care that comes along with those chronic things, when you just, it didn't happen overnight, and it's not going to fix itself overnight. You're not going to fix these things in your immune system and your metabolism overnight, but you can do this. And within the first week, you can start empowering yourself and feeling better. Within the first week, you can find that path, and I will guide you through it. And I love to say that I'm an evangelist, not a preacher, because the things I will share with you will help everyone on a bigger scale, not just the people who come to my office. So as you're contemplating, I want you to think of a few things. What is your health worth? So this is an investment, and I actually wanted to make it a little bit more of an investment for you, not to be sneaky, but if I made this, carb melt or belly melt super cheap, like $10, you wouldn't value it, and then you wouldn't step into the program. Not that I could make it that cheap, because the ingredients are just expensive to make when you make good quality stuff and you use a good company. So if you were to buy those ingredients all separate, I call it everything but the kitchen sink. If you were to buy those ingredients all separate, it would cost 4, 5, 6 times what we actually charge. And we're always running nice little specials, so we like people to feel like they're getting a good bargain. So those are out there all the time. So we'll send you emails with just share your email and several opportunities on the website and in our programs, and we'll send you those specials, and we'll send you updates, and we'll send you, as I learn more information, my patients, people around me, you guys, you teach me stuff all the time, and I'll share that information with you, and we'll just send out little emails every once in a while, so you can look for those, and I'll do little videos and share that stuff. You can go to my TV show main page. It's the Naked Doctor Show. I know that sounds kind of provocative, which is kind of why I put that name on there, but it's a truth about health, wellness, and lifestyle. So if you want to know the truth, you want to know the truth about changing your life, you want your vitality back, you want to feel sexy again, you want to feel vibrant for your kids and your family, and you want that life back for yourself. Maybe you're getting ready to be an empty nester and it's time to focus on you. Well, this is perfect. And so if you just step into this, I want to share all this with you, and I'll share a lot of this information for free. I mean, I just told you a lot of things, like the little hints. You go on the internet and you can find those things. You can look up carb cycling, you can do all that. But I put it together for you, and I know this stuff works, and I know it works in the way I do it because I see it in my patients every day, and I live it. I'm 53 years old, and I've had every hormone problem you can name. I went through surgical menopause and then natural menopause, and I gained over 60 pounds at one time. So I get the struggle. I understand. I've been where you've been, and I want to help. That's what I'm here to do. And the word doctor in Latin means to teach. And if I can teach you to get your power back, at the end of the day, I feel so good about that. So there's so many of you out there who will value this and step into this and, put on your A game for it. And I'm so excited for you. I have literally we've tried to add it up before, probably over 30,000 patients in my career of 20 plus years, plus residency, 4 years, and, med school. So, over 30,000 patients, and we have thousands of people who've used my program and used Carb Melt and Belly Melt. And you can look at our testimonials. We try to keep them brief on our website, but there are so many and so many more. And it's just a beautiful thing. And when I see those testimonials, or I see that stuff come in, and I try to respond to everybody on our Carb Melt Tribe Facebook page. I try to respond personally to emails when I get them. And so, it's really hard because there's a lot of you guys, but I love you and I love this journey and I want this for you. So if this is resonating for you, step into the investment, take advantage of what this new phase of your life could look like. And, we have people who tell me in their, I have a 60-year-old grandma who's back in a bikini again. She just sent me an email last week. I posted that on my Facebook page, and we've got the Carb Melt Facebook page and the Naked Doctor Facebook page. So there's the Dr. Tammy Facebook page. I mean, you can find me all over the place. We have tons of stuff on our website. And so I'm just so excited, and I'm getting ready to add a lot of other products, like a detox supplement. I'm getting ready to add some fruits and greens that they all taste fabulous, because we all know that stuff tastes nasty. I have a campaign going on that's why can't broccoli taste like chocolate? Well, it can. So that's one thing that we're going to add to our website as well. So I'm really working on stepping in to providing as much health and nutrition as well as education for you. And it's going to be just a fun journey. So, if you were to look at the investment, because that kind of turns people off sometimes, because they're like, wow, this could get pricey. But you think about what you've spent over the years on diet plans and supplements and programs that didn't work, and, the lack of motivation or the lack of coaching that you had, you will see that, oh my gosh, just, stepping into 30 days or 8 weeks is a drop in the bucket to that. Some people with their insurance, they pay up to $1,000. Some families pay up to $1,500 a month for health insurance, and they get absolutely nothing except maybe the guarantee that if you get a catastrophic illness or a car accident, that you won't lose your house. That's pretty much all you get. I mean, you get a little discount on pharmaceuticals, or you get a little, discount on doing blood work or tests, but you still end up with quite a bit out of pocket. And if you have a big deductible, that's huge. So patients who come to me, I'll just be honest, spend thousands of dollars for my programs, and I'm sharing all the information with you that I share in those programs. So this is so valuable. I just wish I could tell you the value in it, but only, you can find that if you try it and see. And so we have a money back guarantee. If it's not right for you, you just let us know. The girls on my support team and our, customer service team are so great and so sweet. You can call them. You can say, hey, I'm struggling. What can I do different? And they can give you some direction. It doesn't mean that, you have to just get a full refund. It might just mean that you need to take it a different way, or you need, maybe a different product or a different option, and we can totally help you with that. So we all love you. Our team, my nurses, my staff, we're very small, and we're growing more and more every day. We reorder carb melt and belly melt like literally every few weeks. I mean, it's just crazy. We sometimes run out, and I hate that. So I've actually been looking for a manufacturer who can keep up. So if you're watching this, you'll want to order pretty fast, because our plan is always available, but our manufacturers have a hard time keeping up with us, and we're getting ready to go. I'm super excited into some big box chain stores, and I hesitated to do that because I didn't want to bring the value of the product and the plan down. But, I just feel like I want to make this more available to more people. So if you feel like this is right for you, this resonates, check it out. Check out our website, carbmelt.com. We just have so many different things that we can offer you and opportunities. And I don't want to make this too long, and I'll talk forever, but get your life back. If it's not us, make that commitment, because you only get one life. You only get your kids being little once. I'm a single mom, and my son is 18 now. And I look back, and I do have some regrets. And there were times when I was too overweight and too tired to go do the things that he wanted to do. And I had to just make excuses like, mommy has this to do or that to do. And honestly, I was just too tired. And as you go through your life and you see these changes happen, it gets harder and harder. I see some women who gain 5 to 15 pounds a year over the age of 40, and it just keeps getting worse. So if you're hearing this now, the less overweight you are, the less tired, the less sick you are, this is more of a time to do it. Because sometimes my patients tell me, I'm not sick enough for you. I'm not tired enough or overweight enough to make the investment with you yet. And I wish that I could just, take a chip out of my head and tell them how important the commitment is now, because it's going to be so much harder later. If you don't do anything, what's your life going to look like in a year from now, 5 years from now? Why not start now? Why not start doing something now? And again, if it's not me, I want the best for you. So it might be a different program. It might be something else. I don't know. But do something for you. And as you're doing it for you, you're doing it for your family. You're doing it for your community. I like to think like on the airplane, the oxygen mask, when it comes down, what are you supposed to do on an airplane? You're supposed to put it on yourself first, because you're no good to anybody if you are unconscious. So don't be unconscious to the world. Don't just walk through this life without feeling or meaning. And it all starts within the inside. It all starts with how you feel, and your health and your vitality and all the things. My nurse always says all the things. So I love that. So if you want all the things, you have to do something different. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So you have to do something different. And I've been told, stop with all the nerdy science. You're just too nerdy. I was even told in high school, we just had our high school reunion, 35 years. Oh my gosh. I was told that people thought I, was just too smart, and they couldn't relate to me. They just stayed away, and I just thought I was unpopular and people didn't like me, and I thought I was too nerdy. but they just thought I was, too smart. So that was like, oh my gosh, and looking back, I wasn't that awkward or ugly. We all looked the same in our yearbook. So, it's just funny, the feelings and the insecurities that we all have. And so, me being vulnerable with you and telling you those things, I hope that helps you too. And be vulnerable and ask for help, because that's the first step, is asking for that help. You can start to make changes. So anyway, I just love y'all very much, and I want the best for you. So step into that new you today. And if we're the right ones for you, then we're the right ones for you. Okay, have a beautiful day. Mwah.